Kingdom! Welcome to the video. Alright, so, I decided to watch, the FNAF film. First time, since it's been released. I just got a couple things to say about it. And I was like, you know what? Why not just make a video, yap about the film, and, you know, have it out of my system. And, that's it. Don't have to think or talk about it ever again. I want to be clear, okay? I think the film was pretty mid. I didn't think it was very good. Personally, I was very intrigued about a, FNAF film, right? But I was left pretty disappointed on it because, you know, we'll get why, okay? But let's just go over the film and then, you know, we go talk about more of my opinion. Anyway, so obviously the film, it is about, you know, Five Nights at Freddy's, right? We start off with like this guy called Michael Scott, right? And he has this little sister, right? Sorry, I forgot her name. She has like these weird like ghost friends, turn out to be animatronics from the FNAF franchise, right? And he lost one of his brothers, Garrett. We don't see him ever in the film, ever. My theory is that he is the puppet in probably like the second one. I don't know. I haven't seen the second one, so that's just a theory, of course. So the whole story revolves about this guy. He is, well, he's just crazy, or not crazy. He's like delirious, I would say. He is struggling with the trauma of losing his brother at an early age. We haven't really heard about why his parents are gone, I think. I don't remember. I don't think they really talked about it at all. Anyway, he is left alone, taking care of his sister, trying to get a job, or hold a job actually, and eventually Afton himself, he offers him a job at a closed down Five Nights at Freddy's, right? And anything goes well. He falls asleep. Pretty, you know, dreadful, I would say. You know, that's like one of the most horror dread the film ever gave me. This is another criticism. I think the film wasn't very scary at all, even though it's supposed to be like a horror franchise, right? The dread was not very high. Horror wasn't really anything to speak of, and there was a little bit of gore, but not really interesting, to be honest. But anyway, so he has this job. He goes to the job one night, falls asleep, dreams about these children, and you know, these are children that are in the FNAF universe, like Freddy, Chica, Foxy, and Bonnie, right? Anyway, so he does one job, night, fine. Second night, does the same thing, falls asleep. We see like these it's me stuff, so Golden Freddy kind of, right? Golden Freddy like references all over the place. Could be that Garrett is Golden Freddy as well. That's another theory of mine. He falls asleep, or he wakes up because of it, has to like do the electrical stuff, like turn it off. Eventually, like we see that Foxy was supposed to be like outside of his door. That's another criticism, by the way. This is gonna be all over the place about it. This is not scripted or anything like that. I'm just talking because I need to talk about it, okay? Why was there no introduction of the doors? I thought the doors would have been such an easy thing to accomplish. Like, oh, they run through the facility, right? And then they get chased, and then they slam the door down or something. Underutilized mechanic, unfortunate in my opinion, but hey, I guess the cupcake got a lot of shine in this one, with like the vent stuff, like it looked like the vent from FNAF 3. So yeah, then this like cop shows up, which turns out to be Vanessa, the daughter of Afton, and she helped him, I guess. I'm still not really sure about that. Like, why is she helping her father cover up kidnappings of children and murdering them? Like, why? You're a cop, bitch, the fuck? And then she's like, oh, I tried to warn you the best I could without, you know, saying anything, blah 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 blah. You're a cop, bitch. Like, what the fuck? Why are you covering? Okay, whatever. Anyway, the Vanessa character was fucked. It was terrible, bro. Like, horrifying. Mike meets Vanessa. They talk about how she's like, you know, connected to FNAF franchise. Like, oh yeah, favorite, blah blah. Anyway, so eventually we see this like stupid aunt, right? Aunt character. She argues that, oh well, this young man is not fit to be a parent. And I mean, personally, I think you're fitted to be a parent if you care enough to care about your children, but you know, my bar is maybe a little bit too low. Who knows, right? So yeah, this Karen character, she's not called Karen, but I'm just calling her Karen. She sets up this like this group, right? Eventually, no wait, I'm forgetting something. There's like this babysitter, right? Got her name. Don't care. Not important whatsoever. Who is also apparently employed by this Karen, and she's spying on him. And eventually, she tells Karen like, "Oh, he has this job that he needs to keep. Otherwise, you know, lawyers might be, you know, easy to win the case, right?" So she sets up this like group who is going to demolish the restaurant, right? And this is the best part of the film, by the way. The best part. It was so satisfying. So these guys, they're three guys. They break into the restaurant, and the first one to go is a guy in the kitchen, and we get a really cool scene with like Chica, like just like this little spinning, or like not spin. There's like this fan that didn't spin before, then started spinning, and then you saw like Chica walk slowly across it, like behind it, like. Very nice nice cinematic there. And then like the fridge was shaking, and then this guy opens the fridge, there's this cupcake, and the cupcake opens its eyes and he eats his face. Very satisfying. I was really enjoying that part. Then later on we get another guy. He is like you know, destroying the place and all that. He gets scared, he hides in the closet. And we all know what the closet, yep, Bonnie was in the closet like always, right? And yeah, he got murdered by the closet, or by Bonnie in the closet. And this other guy who was left, he tried to run away, and I think he got murdered by Foxy. I think he tried to like open the exit door, but it was closed, and Foxy ran into him or something. Very satisfying. And then later on, this like stupid woman, bro, I swear to God, she like arrives later because she had to like leave from the babysitter gig to meet up with them. And she goes into the restaurant. She hears like some child saying this way, this way. She stupidly follows the boys into a room with like a Freddy right there, right? A Freddy like animatronic right there in like a creepy room with a bunch of like animatronic bullshit. And for some reason, she was like, "Yep, I think it's a smart idea. Take a chair, step on the chair, and head first go into like the mouth of the animatronic." Like, and then obviously, yep, she got chomped, right? Anyway, very satisfying part of the film, and this is where it goes all downwards, right? So the gang is dead. The aunt has nothing to, you know, any leverage anymore. We move on to the fact that he doesn't have a babysitter anymore, so now he has to take his little sister to the restaurant, right? They go do the restaurant thing, the night thing. I mean, eventually the little girl, she goes exploring. Because she hears a voice. Eventually she becomes friends with these animatronics, right? Like, yeah, it was kind of strange. It's like very wholesome about that, right? All seems to be great, right? Literally walking swimmingly like some night at the museum type shit. And then we eventually reach the point where William Afton arrived. It's not the same night, it's like the night after that, I believe. I don't remember, not really important. He hires his aunt to babysit her. The worst part is that there's like this drawing. She's like been drawing everything, right? She draws stuff, and she gets upset with Mike because, you know, she thinks he is going to abandon her and leave her with Karen, right? He's not. He wasn't planning on it, but you know, she interpreted it that way. So she like literally started scribbling over the head of, well, her brother in all her drawings, and that got like some, I don't know, I guess the drawings in this film are like a symbolism on how these children interpreted reality or something. So eventually when he came back to the restaurant, they were aware that, oh, well, you're now an enemy because you're no longer like in a, I don't know, you're not appreciated by the person that we respect, which is his sister, anymore. So now you're an enemy, right? So he gets attacked by Foxy like very aggressively. Then they ask, "Do you want your sister?" And then he stupidly says yes, and eventually changes his mind because, you know, he's like, okay, well, I do want my brother back, but my sister is more important to me than anything in the world. But it was too late, and then Freddy shows up in his house. Like, I don't know, maybe there's some lore that I missed, But I'm pretty sure the whole reason that these like animatronics can move is because they are inside of the restaurant. And that's like ghost lore, right? Like ghost lore is like very restrictive with places, right? They're like always like around the place where they get murdered and stuff like that. But for some reason, this Freddy doll can just like teleport or some shit to her house. Yeah, whatever. But then we get like this funny scene with like the little sister stepping into the taxi, and the taxi driver, which was Corey Kenshin, which is a really funny cameo. MatPat also made a cameo as a waiter in some family restaurant, or no, I think it was like more of a trucker restaurant on the side of the road stuff. You know, very American. They like get this like little cameo of Corey, very funny. I like it. Yeah. Then they try to put his little sister in a suit, and then he prevented it. Then they had like a little showdown with like William Afton, who showed up. For some reason, the little sister was no longer mad at him, at Mike. And they have like this plan that's or something. I don't know. There's this plan where she's going to draw what actually happened, because these animatronics, these children ghosts, right? They don't remember how everything worked, and they somehow were convinced that the William Afton, the Golden Bunny, I suppose you could call him, eventually becomes, Burn Trap, stuff like that. I forgot the real name. Something Trap. I don't know. Whatever. That he is their friend, right? And then the little girl, she draws like something that depicts that, well, actually, he murdered you. And then they became like aware of it. Then they started to do something. I don't even know. They surrounded him, and for some reason, the spring traps activated. I don't know if they could like do that. Maybe they had like control over it or something. And for some reason, I don't know, he says like, I always come back, and then he puts this thing on his head. Why? Like you're dying. I was so confused about that point. Oh yeah, also he stabbed Vanessa in the meantime. Not very, I don't give a fuck. She survived. She should have been dead. She got stabbed in the fucking liver. For whatever. Doesn't matter, okay? She's in the hospital at the end of the film. So yeah, like they surround him, and then they drag him to some place in the restaurant, and that's kind of where it ends. I guess happily ever after. I don't know, eventually she makes new friends. She actually becomes social. Like, she's no longer weird, I would say, I guess. I don't know. And everything's good, I guess. Yeah. This is a very strange film. The horror elements were not really anything to speak of, especially of Blumhouse. Like Blumhouse, I'm expecting like actually like scare and horror and dread, but this film didn't really give me that. Even like the little sequence where I need to look up her name, because it's really disrespectful saying Mike's little sister, Abby. Abby is the sister. She has like this little sequence or scene with where she like gets chased by Foxy. I thought Foxy was a whole, running character, but for some reason he's like stepping really slowly, maybe to introduce dread into the film. But I had no dread in this at all, bro. Like I'm pretty high tolerance for dread and like horror and stuff like that, right? So I'm already not really a good candidate for like making like asking me like, oh, do you find this horror film scary? Most of the time, no. I also have more of a slasher kind of horror fan, because I just really like seeing the bad guy like just slaughter a bunch of people. Like, I love that shit, right? That's why I like the first part of this film. They kind of had like this slasher dynamic going on. But yeah, like she has to like hide from Foxy. Eventually she goes into the ball pit. Didn't happen. Like nothing happened in the ball pit, by the way. Like no like time travel going on or whatever, which I didn't expect, but I hoped for a little bit of it, but it didn't happen. So anyway, long story short, this film was a pretty big mess. Not gonna lie, it was a pretty big mess. I don't think this is a good film. I don't think it's a bad film either, but it doesn't represent the games well. Now that we've talked about the story, let's talk about the characters a little bit. So let's talk about the characters, right? The characters were pretty pretty one-dimensional. I mean, there's this guy who's, you know, suffering from trauma, and he eventually like faces his trauma and then he overcomes it, right? Like, it's a very, you know, easy written concept of characters that a lot of like films and series use, you know, like, oh yeah, look, dealing with trauma, ooh. And then at the end of the film, oh, his trauma is gone, like, you know, like, good for him, but like, don't give a fuck, honestly. Like, it didn't add much to the film outside of him having to use sleep prescription to fall asleep, but I don't see why he's falling asleep, because it's a night job, bro. Like, you're supposed to stay up. I don't know. For some reason, he was like, yeah, I'm just gonna go to sleep. You know, easy money. Yeah, whatever, right? Then we have Abby, who is, you know, this child who is like ghost friends, right? I thought she was schizophrenic at first. Turns out she wasn't. She just had like some, I don't know, weird connection with the victims of William Afton. Even though she hardly connected, let's be honest. Like, yeah, sure, her brother, or like her younger or older brother, he got kidnapped, right? But she didn't really exist back then yet or something, because I don't remember her in the flashback. Maybe she was there, I don't know, maybe I didn't see her. But like, why does she have like this weird spiritual connection with them? It's kind of strange. Pretty cool that like pieces fall into place. Like, eventually, like, this guy Mike, he realizes like, oh, look at the drawings, like the hat, the ears, the cupcake, you know, like the little bib that Chica wears, the hook, or like something that Foxy had, like all the drawings. Suddenly, like, oh look, these are, you know, all the FNAF animatronics. It all fell into place at the end, you know, like it's yeah, it's all right. But yeah, so Abby is just this child with like weird spiritual connection victims, and she is eventually the reason why they won, right? Let's be honest. The only reason they won was because they could convince the victims of like, yo, this guy, he killed you. He didn't help you or anything like that. Like, he killed you, right? And he's manipulating you. And then they, you know, woke up or something, and then, you know, the whole thing got solved. The aunt character, very one-dimensional as well. Just a character that just like, she's like, oh, I need to have this child because I want money. You know, that's the reason, the only reason, honestly. I do want to like talk a little bit about like this whole custody thing. It is definitely a pretty deep topic, but like they don't really cover it that much. It's like more of a way of conveying like, oh, this guy is struggling, right? Like, I don't know. Like, it made the reason that he would do this job make more sense, because he was in the gutter, right? He had pretty much nothing to lose outside of his sister, so he took a job that didn't pay well and had horrible hours, right? That's the reason. So that's another like thing that a lot of people always like guessed about, like, oh, why would somebody work here, right? Like, and I guess they, in the film, they kind of creatively did it, you know, like, yeah, some people have just horrible lives and they just gotta you know, have something to make ends meet. Even though I don't think that house would be supported on the salary that guy would pay him. Anyway, whatever, doesn't really matter. So that's a Karen character. Already talked about the group that got slaughtered in the restaurant, on top of Max the babysitter. Also very one-dimensional, just some chick that got hired to make sure to spy on him or something. I don't know. All these characters are boring and lame and bland and just not even interesting whatsoever. Like, they are only there to progress the plot. Also, there was this first security guy at the start of the film where he got his face blended by a Freddy mask. I mean, I think I already said it in my trailer reaction back when I saw it, that this like face blender thing was just a strange thing, because, you know, like, that's not really part of the film. Or like the games, like they never really had anything such as that. It was always just like, there's this animatronic hat and they wish it on you or something. I don't know. Also, don't even get me started on the fact that they've investigated this place and somehow never found the children, and they never thought of like, oh, why don't we look in the suits? Like, hello? Like, these cops have dogs that they sniff, like, the scent of the people they're trying to find. You think a dog won't sniff them out? Whatever. I don't know. I don't even want to talk about it, bro. That shit's so stupid, bro. This whole film is full of delusional nonsense, okay? Like, if this was not a Five Nights at Freddy's film, I wouldn't even give a fuck. But because it is, I give a fuck because this is representative of a game franchise that I actually really like. Even though, like, lately they've really been missing the ball. I haven't even been interested in, like, the Mimic or anything like that, or like the 2D game. I have it. I think it was free on the Epic Store, like, recently, and I got it for free, so that's cool. Maybe I'll make a video of that. This whole film was just hot. And the Vanessa character, bro. I think we should end on the Vanessa character. So the Vanessa character, she's a cop, apparently. I think, at least I hope she is. Otherwise, she's literally breaking laws left and right. Literally going into a police cruiser. She wears, like, police clothes. But she doesn't have a partner, so that makes me, like, wonder, like, is she really a cop? Or is she just cosplaying as one? Like, I don't know. Like, especially at night, there's no way you send a lone woman in a police cruiser to go your rounds. Like, it's always two people, right? The police always has a driver and a partner. That's how they operate. Anyway, whatever. And she helped her father with this crimes and stuff like that. And somehow the film wants you to forgive her because, oh, well, she turned good at the end. Bro, you covered up murders of children. Like, there's no coming back from that, bro. Like, what the fuck? I don't care if I don't care if the killer is your father, your son, your brother, your uncle, your fucking, I don't know, evil twin. I don't give a flying shit. Your alter ego. I don't give a fuck. All right, fucked. It's over, bro. Like, there's no coming back from that. But hey, eventually she survives. She goes to the hospital. Maybe she's like in a coma or some shit. And probably in the second film, she's gonna come back. I wouldn't be surprised. So yeah, that was the FNAF film. That was all the story, the characters. Now let's talk about the things I really liked. And that's only the attention to details, okay? So the restaurant looks good. I'm not gonna lie. The layout looks good. Like, we have Foxy or Pirate Cove, right? And we have the stage with, like, the other ones. We even have, like, what I said, like the little shaft from FNAF 3 that got introduced. Like, I really think outside of, like, the glass missing from FNAF 3, I think the office is very it looks very much like the first restaurant, which is a little bit of a confliction because the first restaurant is not the one, or the first one is that burns down, and the first film or the first game doesn't take place in the first one. It takes place the third, I believe. My FNAF lore is a little bit rusty, so forgive me if I'm wrong. But I just wanted to talk about the little bit of, like, details. Like, for example, Bonnie being in the storage, you know, like, if you played FNAF 1, he's always in that goddamn storage. Chica being in the kitchen, you know, always being in the kitchen, right? And Freddy didn't really do much, which is a little bit unfortunate. I think Freddy could have done a little bit more. I mean, I guess he teleported towards the girl's house and took a taxi back. Like, yeah. Foxy was probably the most interesting one because he didn't talk. I mean, none of them talked, right? But, like, he didn't really have a moment or, like, anything like that. He was just some guy. Like, he was, like, the killer of the group, right? He was just like, I got shit done, right? He hurt people, like a motherfucker, right? So yeah, that was a pretty cool detail. Can I think of another good detail? I guess the drawings. They used the drawings, which is a big thing in the FNAF franchise. I guess the after stuff was really cool to see, but, like, it was hard to enjoy because the character, it was just so, you know. I watched it last night, but I'm doing this all from the top of my head, so maybe I forgot something very important, but I don't think I did. The credits, bro, it was so sick, bro. They really used the living tombstone FNAF song. That was so cool, bro. that's what also was missing. Like, there's a little section of the film where there's like this music box music going on. But they really underutilized that a lot, in my opinion. I mean, I guess the music box wasn't a thing in FNAF 1, so I can give it a pass, right? But I don't really think that just because it was not in the first game, it shouldn't be in the first film, if that makes sense. Because Vanessa wasn't in the first game either, right? Vanessa was from Security Breach, you know, like, that's like the sixth game or some shit, like, you know, I mean, I didn't hate it. They also had like the kidnapping thing, like, bro, sometimes I'm like, bro, how can you have such a stupid child? Also, they're in like the middle of the woods, and these parents are just like, oh yeah, what's your baby brother, Mike? And then they don't even give a fuck about how their like brother is doing. Like, they're not even paying attention. Like, what the fuck are these parents, by the way? Like, why don't they like didn't they tell like the child like, oh hey, don't go too far away so we can see you? Because that's how I grew up. Like, stay in our vision, right? That, like, I don't know, whatever. I'm just keep finding things that this film has like so wrong. I guess that's horror in a nutshell, right? Like, if they don't be stupid or do stupid stuff, horror doesn't really make sense, because 9 out of 10 horror situation is because of being stupid, right? I like the cameos from MatPat and Corey. I probably missed a couple, like, you know, Easter eggs here and there for sure. But I mean, I could appreciate the effort they put in. Like, the animatron, like, I think if I can say anything that's like silver lining of this film, the animatronics looked actually good. Like, they really looked good. Like, it's not even close. Like, they actually nailed the design of it, you know? This will be the end of my review of the Five Nights at Freddy's film. Let me know if you watched it in the comment section below. If you didn't watch it, are you now interested in watching it, even though I spoiled the whole entire goddamn film for you? Highly doubt that would be your first instinct after watching this video. But if it is, then, you know, go ahead. I mean, it's not a bad film. I wouldn't recommend it if you don't have any connection to the FNAF franchise. Like, if as a standalone film, I think it's god awful, right? But as a representation of FNAF in movie form, it's not too bad. It's just very mid. It really is. I hope the second one will be better, and if it's not, then, well, whatever, man. They tried. You know, not everything can be the Sonic film, you know, franchise. Anyway, with that being said, let me know what you thought about this video. Comment section below. Leave a like, subscribe. That's it. Take care.